your brain one. My attack is purely mental and its nature's not fit. It's meant to wake you up out of your brain.
Yeah, when more study our Quran and questions for more as children. Prosecutors and magistrates hate us in the admin buildings. Challenging jurisdiction, paperwork sent first. No fiat, quenching their money hungry, bloody credit thirst. Trustees benefit when they cheat your estate that you thought was a...
King, our lecture was killer, yeah. I remember the hat, I remember the voice,
I didn't realize it until he told me I was on the stream. I was like, what? I'm usually one that like to keep things, because here why I found out, I don't want to wake up these devils, because when they find out where you're on, they're really going to try to sabotage me in which way. Like I try to tell people, we go about our business doing our business, because it really is our business. We don't have to wake up these devils. But when I start waking up some of these people like, well, I didn't know that, and I have to say, listen, I'm not here to school you guys or educate you.
Let's get started. Tonight we have a treat. First, I'd like to rise and give honors. Let's face the east this evening. 5 fingers on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Noble Drew Ali. Amen. All right. Islam. So, this evening, we have a really, really good treat. It's like two evenings in a row now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with this, the NL, the Fridays, but it's been good. But anyway, just a couple of announcements. First and foremost, Noble Drew Ali Day coming up January 10th and 11th of next year, 2015. It's going to be a Saturday and a Sunday. The Saturday we're going to do a little session here with the brother Mohren Bey from Philadelphia. And then on the Sunday we're going to be out in Eglinton and Midland area at 2467 Eglinton. And that's with brother Denamel. Like, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Next, this Sunday, we're going to be doing a Skype lecture with a sister, Sila Lee Bay. She's going to be talking a lot on etymology. You don't want to miss that. This is going to be really, really, really good. Also, temple times. Tonight's going to be the last night for the rest of the year, because next week is going to be Boxing Day. So I know everybody's going to be busy, so we're just going to have to, no classes next week, Friday. And the week after that, it's going to be New Year's, so we're not going to have any classes then. So I guess the next time we'll be seeing y'all is at the Noble Drew Ali Day celebration. All right? So, anyway, I want to get to tonight. Let's get it started. We have a brother in the house. He is from this part of Maxim, but he does a lot of traveling extensively. Right now he domiciles in, I don't know, you have to tell us.
In Germany.
Okay.
But I've been doing spending a lot of time in Sweden.
Yeah.
In Sweden, because I have a client in Sweden. So.
Yeah. The last time we spoke, you were in Vietnam, right? Was it Vietnam?
Did I talk to you?
Yeah, you were in Vietnam. So I don't know where you're going to be next week. So within his travels, he's picked up a lot of pictures, seen a lot of plaques, met a lot of people who's been able to confirm to him who we are around the world. He's in town. You're out in, how far from here?
Oshawa.
So he's out in Oshawa right now, but he took the time to come down here to share with us. And I really, really appreciate him doing this for us. So please, without any further ado, I don't want to take up too much of his time because he has a lot of stuff to show us. So, Sheldon L.
Thank you. It's kind of impromptu here presentation because there's a lot more images that I actually have. that is just way too much.
Is this okay for you? If not, then
Probably
No?
not.
see.
Okay, so then I'll try.
So I guess you gotta use my bed.
No worries, no worries.
Alright, no problem. Should have checked that first, man.
Yeah,
But it's alright. It's alright. Let's go ahead. Want to take out this stick?
yeah. Let's do this. So, let's wait for this there.
Okay? Yeah, go ahead. Yep, it's all yours, man. I'll help you if you need help. It's all yours. Go ahead.
So the reason why I travel so much is, as a profession, I'm a footwear designer. I design footwear, so when I go to Vietnam, it's going to the factories and to the suppliers to work with them. So, and
For what company?
well, now I freelance.
Freelance.
Yeah, before I used to work for Adidas I worked for Adidas for 3.5 years. I worked for Puma for two years. And then after that, I started freelancing for different companies. Freelanced for Fila, Niedecker snowboards, all around the European area. So yeah, that's why I'm blessed to be able to travel. Okay, I'm not too familiar with PC, so.
Okay. Okay, came up. All right. So just
Don't want to scan.
no, don't scan. Okay. Here you go. It's yours. Okay, you want the light as well? Or?
Yeah, I think for now.
We might have to hit the light. Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Let's see. Let's push the DVD. Yeah.
I want to start off with Berlin.
Well, you should give an introduction of yourself and
Yes.
more than I did.
So yeah, originally born and raised in Montreal, and at the age of 15, I knew I wanted to design footwear. I've been into footwear since I was really young, and I only later found out that my grandfather was a shoemaker by trade. So there's a little link there. And my mother, who's in Trinidad, she's a professional singer. She sings calypso and soca chutney, and she's also an artist. So she draws and she paints. She creates the costumes for backing dancers and stuff. She does the stage design and everything. So I took some from my dad's side and brought it together. And then from there, I ventured out to Vancouver. I studied illustration and design at Dawson College in Montreal. And then I had to take industrial design, so that led me out to Vancouver because I was looking for work to earn money to go back to school. And every single decision that I made was so that I can do forward design. I was that focused. Like, I was going to clubs and stuff, I was like, nah, whatever. People were making fun of me. I was wearing the same clothes for like 2-3 years. So I went out to Vancouver.
You were scheming on me.
You know? So I went out to Vancouver and I found Emily Carr Institute of Art and Design there. I did an industrial design program. I studied there, and then I got on exchange. And I found out about Berlin. I had a choice to go to New York, Pratt College, or I think it was Switzerland. It was in Switzerland, but other students had already went there. So Berlin, nobody had been there before. So I said, let me blaze my own trail, and I went to Berlin. And then luckily, the professor there, when I told him I was into footwear, he said, well, one of my students is working at Adidas. So he called him up, and I gave a small presentation, and from there I got an internship. And then when I did the internship, it was a 3-month internship. This was in '99. And one guy that's now a good friend of mine, he was doing his grad project in the same division. I was in advanced design, and he lived in Munich. So I visited him in Munich for his graduation, and I loved it there. My first experience in Berlin was in East Berlin. It took me 3 days to see one more walking in the street. And the first 2 hours I was there, I ran into 2 neo-Nazis. So, but it was me and the student. The student picked me up at the airport, went back to his house, dropped off my stuff, and went out to get something to eat in a little bistro. And we were sitting down, 2 neo-Nazis walked in and sat at the counter. and they're like looking at me and whispering at each other, and I'm like, geez, I just got here, and I don't know the language, nothing. So, but nothing happened because once they see it's 2-on-2, or if they outnumber you, something will happen. Once it's 1-on-1, they're not going to do anything.
Okay.
And I remember my professor was always afraid for me to go out on my own. I had to mail letters and stuff like that. And he said on the news, you'll hear on the news that some neo-Nazis were on the train and they opened up, they threw this a Chinese guy off the train while he was moving. It was on the news that they beat up this Moor, African, and he was paralyzed. And he had to sit in a wheelchair and steer with his pinky. They beat him up that bad. So no. This I didn't know. I was this undeclared. This is way back. Yeah. So, and they are well dressed. Like I remember going down, and this guy's in a nice brown skin leather jacket, boots, and he's reading a paper, and he turned to me, gave me this look, and I'm like, I'll wait till the train passes. So, anyways, yeah. So from there, I went to Munich, and after that experience in Berlin, my thoughts were like, Germany, I'm not going back, I don't like it, so on and so forth. However, on the west side, that's where you see all the Moors and all the other ethnicities coming out. It's on the west side. So, yeah, so after Berlin, I was like, I could leave Germany or whatever. But when I had my internship in Nuremberg, which is in the south, in Bavaria, it was nice, it was better there. Not nice. It was better there. And then Munich.
I got you.
Munich was great. I mean, there's a lot to do, and there's a lot of arts and stuff like that. So after that, I said, okay, it's interesting. So the guy that I met doing his grad project in the same division, he invited me to his graduation, and that's when I saw Munich the first time, and I liked it. Then after my internship, I went back to school for my senior year, and he went to work for Puma. I did my grad project with Adidas in Portland, and I thought I was going to get a job there, but they didn't really know what they wanted to do. I had contacts at Nike. I went down for an interview at Nike, and the recruiter said there's internal movement, and once that settles, then a position's going to open up. And she said, if you have something at Puma or somewhere else, like, don't wait, we'll find you. So the same guy that was in Munich, he went to work for Puma, and he told me that they were hiring, so I sent my CV, and that's how I went back to Germany. And then from there, 2 years at Puma, then Adidas, and then I left Adidas, and I started freelancing for the company. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And the way I came onto this knowledge was in 2010 and 2011, I had no work, and I was really, really struggling. And as a freelancer, there's two types of unemployment. Obviously, if you're working and you get fired, there's unemployment. And then there's unemployment too, that's a little bit harder to get. So I wasn't working, and I was looking for a spiritual answer, a reason to what was going on. And I said, you know what, I don't want to hear no Europeans talking about anything, because you always go on the internet and you hear like Europeans talking about astrology and so on and so forth. And for me, I just wanted to hear my people talking about it. There was no disrespect to them. I have full respect for them, but I just want to hear my people talking about it. And then that led me to a couple of videos on YouTube. There was this, I forgot her name, this beautiful sister with dreadlocks, and she was talking about astrology, and she was, so
he's hooked.
And then I was clicking, and then I actually found Mohren Bey first talking about some stuff, and I was listening to him, and then I stumbled on a seer in Duke of Tears. And just listening to him and the things that he said on it, interesting. And I watched more and more of his videos, and then I decided to give him a call. I sent him an email first, and then he sent me his number and said, give me a call. So I called him, and I told him my situation, and he said, you're in Nuremberg? I said, the Moorish influence is huge there. How long you been there? I was like, I've been here for 7, 8 years. He says, just walk around the city and see what you find. The influence is huge there. And then when I walked around, I started finding all this Moor's Pharmacy. Like, if you look at my first lecture, it has all the pictures that I found about Moor's Pharmacy.
Water fountain. Sure, you saw that.
That's that's in Switzerland.
Sure.
That's King Casper with the Habsburg.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Moorish beer company.
Yeah, there's that's in Austria.
Yeah, Austria, yeah.
Yep. It's, the one in Nuremberg is Bucher. Yeah, Bucher beer. Yeah, and then Moore's Pharmacy right there in town, you know, with all the images and stuff. And then I started looking more. There's Moore's hotels. There's not only in Germany but in Italy, there was Italy. There was Prague. I think there was one in Prague.
There is one in Prague.
All over. So I started getting more information, and then I started taking some online courses with Asir, and then I said, okay, well, I wonder if there's anything here, and that's when I found here, and I came in and I get the presentation. So that's a little background, and the most recent thing that I've done is a DNA test, and what was interesting is
O positive?
my dad's,
O positive?
yeah, I think O positive. He was O positive, yeah. We were all O positive.
Yeah,
We were all
because
O some.
most of our
Most of
people
us, yeah.
who are O positive, as they say, it is rare, but it's a dominant one.
Yeah.
They know that. That's how they find them.
So what was interesting is, on my dad's side, 75% or more, came from this Western Africa and Northern Africa, and you find that blood in the Berbers in Morocco. That's what it said. The Arabs, and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, well there it is. That's why I latched onto this when I found out about it. Because some people, I guess, when they hear this, it's like, but me, I just latched right on. It just made sense.
Did you inquire like about that, or they just came out and told you?
Yeah, well, the thing is, you do the DNA test, and then they send you the results, and they send you the parts
Oh, wow.
where you're from, and they say that the percentage and everything.
What's that
So-
website again?
23andMe, and
That's the website you went to?
yeah, and I think it's a brother that does it actually.
Is it .com or?
.com, yeah.
.com.
And I think it's a brother that does it. Yeah, and then when I was looking at the geographic locations, you had Southern Europe going into Bavaria. There's a marker in Bavaria. Then there was a marker in Scotland.
Yeah.
Scotland, I think it was. Where they kicked out the Moors. And then it goes down to...
The snakes.
yeah, they kicked out the snakes, and then it goes down to the Atlantis Islands. I think it went to Barbados or something like that. And then to Trinidad and so on and so forth. So I'm just looking at that, I'm just like, okay, well, I can't really go anywhere else, right? I gotta stay here, so I gotta stay in the movement. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay.
So the images that I have here,
You don't want the light?
yeah, I want to show you this one first.
Okay, let's hope I could.
I gotta show you this one first because
Could you hit the light, somebody? Back there?
this one is it's kind of small,
E.
but
E.
Darkness.
1 second.
Swords.
see if I can.
I'll just have to zoom as. Okay, there you go.
Okay. Now, when I first did my German Morse presentation, I think even on the second one, I mentioned that when I was talking to my friends there, my German friends, they said that they learned us in school as Moors, not black people are Moors, just
Exactly.
Moors.
Yeah.
And it's only in recent times that kind of got pushed out, and then the word black started coming in to a point where you go to a store to buy music, the R&B and the hip hop section says black music.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They followed the Western.
Yeah, and that's one of my friends. One of my friends told me. He said, "Well, we were calling you Moors, but then we heard y'all saying you're black. So
That's right.
you guys know better than us." So,
Yes.
you know.
Exactly.
And
That's what-
so I remember when I first moved to Munich, on the subway, they had these signs. Now, Schwarz in German is black, Weiß is white. Underneath that it says Schwarzfahrer zahlen 40 Euro. Schwarzfahrer means a legal rider. Pays 40 euros. So what happened is these signs were all over the subways and stuff like that. And then obviously people, Africans or whatever, were complaining, oh, black, it's racist and so on and so forth. But in Germany, it's like, but you're not black, you're Moors. So they ended up having to take these signs down.
Wow.
And so these signs are no longer in the subway system. And I searched high and low to find this because when I went back, I was trying to see it, but they'd taken it down. I think it was in 2003 or something. I just couldn't find them anymore, and I found this one on the internet.
You want a chair, bro? You want a chair?
Yeah, sure.
You got one? Okay.
I got one. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, so that's why I brought this to show you how, at least in Germany, black is not. It's an adjective. You know, it's an adjective. You know, so it doesn't really represent people. But then, the legal rider, because that ends up being a noun. It's an illegal rider. Schwarzfahrer means illegal rider. So I think that's really wanted to start off with that. And then I remember in the second lecture that I gave, I told a story that there was a commercial, and it was called Schwarzfahrer, and it was a Moor and a German woman on a tram, and she was on the tram first, and then he came on and he sat down next to her, and she was fully racist. She was complaining about the black people this and and then she started complaining about the Italians and so on and so forth, and she was going on, and he was just there, you know, eating his chips, just listening to her or whatever. And at one point, the conductor comes on, so you pay, but then a conductor comes on to check you. So she's complaining, she's ragging on everybody, everybody's looking at her like, oh, she's complaining about, you know, and everybody's like, she's disgusting, whatever. So controller comes on, and she reaches in her bag. For her ticket. And the Moor sitting next to her is eating his chips, and he grabs the ticket and he eats it. You know, so she's like this, and the conductor comes and he says, you know, your ticket, please. And she's looking at him like, oh. But she's like, the nigger next to me ate my ticket, and he's like, yeah, sure. Okay, come off the train now. And he looks at the Moor, and the Moor just like pulls out his ticket, and then she gets off the tram and she gets a ticket. But the whole thing was, the reason why they did that is to play on the Schwarzfahrer title, if you want to say, or name, meaning that it's not a black, it's not a quote-unquote black person or whatever, it's an illegal rider. And it was a Caucasian German lady that ended up being the illegal rider. You know? So
it's a black rider, basically. Just legally, it's the status.
Yeah. Okay. So now these are pictures from Berlin. In Germany, there's just a lot of Moorish artifact, and it's out there. It's not hidden as Arab. It's not hidden as, I've seen books in the library that separate Saracen from Arab, from Moor, from Saracen, Arab, Moor, and there's one more. It's all separated. Moor is Moor, and Moor is curly hair and dark skin and everything. So let's see if I can select all of these. These are some images from around the city. I went to the German National Museum, and let's see if this works.
Yep.
You think maybe that's the reason why Hitler was trying to eliminate all the non-white people, because he knew the power of the Moors in Germany?
I think
and obviously the influence that they had, if they had all these, you know, things down there, they must have been incredibly powerful.
When you speak of the non-pale faces, who you're referring to?
Well, I don't know. I just know that Hitler was trying to eliminate people who weren't apparently of his color, no?
The so-called Jews were. The so-called
Yeah, but,
Jews were.
but Hitler was a
You
Jew.
know that, but I'm saying, that's what I'm
See,
saying.
he
The
knew the
so-called
original
Jews
Jews,
were
who
made.
the original Jews
Yeah,
were.
but I'm not
So
saying
he
so-called
was
Jews.
made him because of that.
That looked like,
Stolen
yeah, they
identity.
look like him,
Yeah.
but he killed them.
Yeah.
Because
That's my point.
it was in regards to nationality,
Yeah.
and he was basically saying if
They're using
if you're not
religion.
German,
They're using religion.
you got to get out. Simple as that.
And they're using religion.
But every man has to worship under his own
Vine and fig tree, right? Yeah. Okay, this image is, it's in an area, it's in a historical area close to the German National Museum, which I have images of that I'll show you. This is the German church. On the opposite side of it is the French church. And I found what was really interesting is when I went to the front entrance, there is direction. There is this statue here, and this is, I'll get you a closer view. This is a full-on Moor with a turban and a fez on, and it's on the left-hand side.
Wow.
So this actually picture doesn't really do it justice, but if you can see the mouse, that is the fez right there, sticking out in the back, and then there's the turban wrapping around. And this is right out in the open.
This is a German church.
This is in Berlin. It's at the German church. There's more street. If you guys look at the second, I think it's the second lecture. There's more street in Germany, and that's surrounded by parliament buildings and stuff like that. And one of the statues is von Zeiten, I think his name is, from the Prussian army, and he has fez, feather, tassels, standing like this, scimitar sword. He had the cape, leopard cape, everything, and he was the head of the cavalry. Alright. So here is, this is the, if you want to say, the crest of the Holy Roman Empire. Let me just get the information so I can. Alright. This is the panel of heraldry shields of the processions of Emperor Charles V, Charles Quint. Okay. This is the middle panel shows Charles V, Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation, with the insignia of his power. The Emperor is surrounded by a double circle whose inner circle shows the coat of arms of the 7 German electoral princes. The outer circle strings together the crest of the Spanish possessions. The left outer panel shows 21 coat of arms of the Austrian-Hungarian territories, and the right side shows 21. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, probably a good idea to rotate. Thank you. And the right side shows 21 crests of the Burgundian territories. Sorry. The inscriptions are in French. Thanks. Can you scroll this? Press it. Oh, okay.
Wow,
used
you
to-
really
I'm used to
you really left PC behind, man. Wow.
The inscriptions are in French, the official language of Burgundy. Okay, Charles V was able to form his expansive empire through the successful marriage policy. Charles dreamed of a monarchia.
Monarchy?
Yeah, it's monarchy, but I think this is in Latin. Monarchia something. A politically united Europe under his dominance. The hinged panel gives this clear expression using the heraldry widespread at the time. Alright, so. Okay, so that's it, and these are all coat of arms, family coat of arms. Now what's interesting is as you go in deeper here, that I zoomed in the picture, and these are pictures that I took for myself. Like this is not from the internet. I went to the museum and I was taking all these shots.
What museum is this?
This is the German National Museum in Berlin. And there was tons, and I took tons of pictures, so I only chose a couple of them. This is...
Would you say people in the West are more dumbed out compared to people in Europe?
Well, yeah, I think what's happening now is slowly, it's almost like, if you want to say the changing of the guard, that I've talked to people that don't know about Moors now. Like my friend that learned about Moors, he's 32, I think. Another friend, she's a teacher, she learned that, she's 42. But I think when you start getting into the 20s and stuff, that's not being taught anymore because of, if people are complaining that Schwarzfahrer means them.
Saying that they're black, yeah.
Right, and one of my friends as well, another friend that I hoop with, when I told him I was learning about Moors, he thought it was a derogatory statement to say Moor. And he was telling me about, there's an amusement park that comes twice a year to Nuremberg, and they have this chocolate ice cream called Ice Moor. There's an actual logo, and I think if you look at my first presentation, I have a full-on picture of it, and it's full dark skin, leaves, stick and everything, and it says Ice Moor. And he said that people were complaining about it, and so on and so forth. And when I went to the amusement park, I thought it was gone, but it was there, and I took pictures of it. So I think what's happening is because when I went to this museum and I was looking for what was written, I didn't really see the word Moor anywhere, even though there's pictures of Moors. So I think that that's kind of what's happening. As you can see here, at the bottom, this is one of the family crests of Brother Amari's sweatshirt that he's wearing with
The Moorhead.
the Moorhead.
Moorhead.
Right. It's one of them. And if you really dig deep into a lot more of these images, it will tie back to Moorish information. I just took a picture of that.
Question.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a chance to see the Air Corsica? There's a
The
Air Corsica.
Air Corsica, the
Yeah.
plane Air Corsica?
Yeah.
No.
It's out of France.
Okay, and they have the
Yeah, it has the Moorhead and everything
on the
it.
tail.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Okay.
One thing I found out, what I've noticed is, growing up, I knew a little bit about the Moors up here, but up here in Canada, a lot of our people don't know anything about Moors.
I got something for you from Vancouver. Wait till you see it.
I was out there.
Yeah?
I
When were
was
you
out
there?
there last year.
Okay. Did you go into West Vancouver?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go down to the beach? No. Kitsilano is once you cross the Lions Bridge and you're downtown, and that off of downtown. But when you cross the Lions Gate Bridge going into West Vancouver, there is still a beach on that side. So I guess you didn't go.
No.
I got something for you. I got something for you. Don't worry.
So that coat of arms, like what's the, I don't mean to like straight out talk, but like what is this? What's the significance of it?
Well, that normally when you have the coat of arms that have the Moors heads, a lot of times it's the conquered Moors, and these families conquered the Moors, and so they show that. Some families also take on the last name, and they recognize their lineage. All that said, Charles V was of Moorish descent, and really the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah.
If you look at the council, they're all Moors.
Yeah. And,
Really?
and one other point is basically what they're giving credence to as far as their people. It was the Moors basically conquering the Moors.
Yeah.
That they've taken on
Right.
that pretext as far as saying it was us, the white people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which it was their Moorish ancestors
Mhm.
that they rode on their coattails,
Right.
so to speak. As opposed to saying the pale faces, done this and conquered us, and those are the conquered Moors that they took over, and they have them in their family, right?
Right.
And they're
But
pressed
it-
and all that.
But and also, you think, just to add on to that, actually, you think of the time span.
That's all you got to do.
Okay.
Look at the dates, yeah.
Yeah. Council of Nicaea with the Holy Roman Empire
Yeah.
coming together was in 325.
325 AD.
325 AD.
Yeah.
So if they are of European descent and so on and so forth, why then do the Moors from Egypt
Yeah.
need to go into Europe in 711 to
Yeah.
bring technology and,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
bring all this stuff?
Yeah.
That this
And on top of that, why is Constantine a Moor? Straight up.
exactly.
Well, Moors derived from Egypt originally.
Moors derived from Moabites, and they took the information from Egypt. They took all the technology and stuff like that. They were the custodians, as explained, and they brought the technology.
He said Morocco.
Huh?
Oh, Morocco. Oh.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The Morocco that we think of today is from 1954.
Yeah, it's just
That's
recently.
the corporation.
Yeah. So prior to that, it was huge. And when you think of if you think of also when people think of Moor, they only think of Morocco. But there's the thing about it is Ottomans were Moors, Turks were Moors, and that's just the empire spreading and changing names. Like when I was in Turkey. I was in Turkey, and so I traveled with my fez on because my passport picture. Oh well, I just and I went to get some food at this little place, and it was like Ottomans, yeah, good Ottomans, you know. And when I was coming here, there was, you know, I was just so zoned out. I didn't even talk to them. I didn't ask them where they were from or anything, but. A couple stopped me, an elderly couple. They must have been in their 60s or something. They said, I like your hat. I said, yeah, thank you, but it's not a hat. And they said, yeah, we know. When they stopped me, said, yeah, I know. It's called tarbouche. I said, yes, it's tarbouche or fez, you know. And they said, oh, it's beautiful. Said, do you want to give it away? Do you want to sell it? I'm like, no, it's I said, my ancestors wore it. He said, oh, mine too. I'm like, yeah, you know. So
They know their history.
they know.
That is
All right.
nice.
Western people though rob us.
We sell out her
Here.
she's asking to buy it.
Remember the West, we were captivated to come here. You know, they came and stole us from Africa, so don't ever forget that.
No, bro.
This
This is
is
from
that was what I
nowhere,
said.
bro.
Yes, that's the
So
biggest
It's our
we
country, bro.
sold everything we
What's
got.
up?
whole earth is ours.
When you say Africa, what do you mean? Because this is Africa. So when they stole you from Africa, they didn't steal you from over there.
We were prisoners
They
of
stole
war.
you from here.
We were prisoners of war.
No, but our people originally, you know, like over here was the Europeans came here.
No, this is
And the
Africa.
original Africans did come here from the continent of Africa.
Well,
This is Africa.
Well,
Yeah.
here's something to think about. Here's something to think about.
Yeah.
I found a website with old maps.
Yeah, it's a corporation.
Old maps dating back to
Oh, yeah.
I think it was 1573. I think 1545 as well. And in the Americas, I remember looking, and there were all these little red spots. And when I zoomed in, I was like, wow, those look like mosques. And it was peppered all in North America into the middle and then into south. And I wasn't sure. I said, you know what, maybe they're towns or whatever. So I was going through other maps and so on and so forth. And when I got to the 1700s, you see those same red dots but with crosses on them. So they were all converted.
Christianized.
They were all converted. And then when I zoomed into this website was nuts. They had all these old maps, and they were selling them for all kind of 64,000 euros, 74,000 euros. It's a couple, I think they're in Denmark, and they just had all these old maps. But what's good is that they had high resolution images of them that you can click on and really zoom in. And they had some zoomed in of Cuba, and you see all these mosques in Cuba, all these mosques in Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, mosques everywhere. So when they say that, I'm sure y'all have heard that Islam was in the Americas before Christianity. It really was.
Before Columbus, sure.
You know, so.
Well, that seems to be the issue, is that once you in terms of the finance, real information, real knowledge, it's gonna cost
It
you.
costs you.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So who controls the information in terms of the cost? They're just gonna give the masses what they want to give the masses. Dumb them down.
Yeah, Pablo.
I mean,
Lamb.
if I could have used my laptop, I have the maps on my laptop, so I could have pulled them up and I could have showed you from 17 perhaps.
Yeah, and I've seen some of them.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, we can read them down at the Berlin Wall, just to acknowledge.
So these are some more images. If you really want to know who the people are, I can tell you, but these are, this one here is General Octavio Graf Piccolomini, and he was the Duke of Amalfi during the peace negotiations in Nuremberg. Okay, so this is from 1650. A lot of these officials that you're seeing, dark, a lot of hair, thick mustache. So obviously, I'm not saying that he was lightened up. I won't say that because I don't know. I'm not sure. But you can clearly see that he has Moorish lineage in him. If he has hair like that and it's jet black like that, so.
Uncle Phil.
Here's another one. And these are just straight up images that I was taking from the museum. This is Commander Prince Bernard, Duke of Sachsen, Weimar, and that's in. Oh, okay. And this is Italian. This is a well count. This is from 1660. And Bernard, who was brought up strictly Lutheran, had served as a commander under Gustav Adolf since 1631. At Lutzen, he took command after the king's death, and he was among the most important Protestant generals. So.
Can I ask you one question too? I heard that Timbuktu was even more civilized than Egypt prior to Egypt even becoming. Is that true? Anything about that? Timbuktu?
That I'm not sure about.
Oh.
I don't know if somebody else can answer that. Cause
Yeah, Timbuktu was civilized. My mom always taught us about Timbuktu.
Okay.
It's an actual place.
Yeah, to verify that, Timbuktu was part of the Mali Empire. And if you look where Mali is right now and all of the Western countries, nation states in that area, they were all part of the Mali Empire. That was the last empire for that particular area. So yes, Timbuktu, a lot of knowledge was there. That's why they always make reference to, I got lost in Timbuktu, or, where's Timbuktu, or, yeah.
So these are just images that I took, and you can see the Moorish essence in the pictures. I'm not really gonna go through all the details of who the people are. I don't think it's that important, unless you guys want me to. But yeah, this image is the.
Well, we'll be here forever. You know that.
Yeah, I know. This is the taking of Buddha in 1686, and it's after relieving Vienna, the Allied troops advanced eastward. In 1684, they reached the state of Buda, which had been in Turkish hands for 140 years. In 1686, Buda was able to be reconquered. And so the image of that is a painting like this. And down in the corner here, you see some of the Turks. A little more in the corner. There's another one. This one here is. Oh no, that's King Kaiser. Unfortunately, do I have this information? No, unfortunately, I forgot to bring the plaque. Here's another image of a war scene as well, and down in this corner they show the Moors in the influence right here. As you can see, they're all dark-skinned with their turbans on. Unfortunately, I didn't have the plaque. I have the plaque somewhere, but I just didn't put it on by
But what
then-
was the name of those fighters?
What's the name of the fighters?
Yes.
I would just say that they're just the warriors. There's no real specific name to them.
Okay. Like when you have Mussolini, like what era?
Beg your pardon?
Like when you have Mussolini,
Oh,
like who are these fighters? They
Okay.
should have
They were the
names.
Moors.
They were the
The
Moors.
Moors,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Like the
this-
names.
The
Oh, okay.
this image here is Kaiser Leopold the First.
Oh, Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah. He was Emperor Leopold the First.
the leader of the Moors then, yeah.
And it says Leopold the First of the House of Habsburg. So once again, he's part of the Holy Roman Empire. The Habsburg family is the Holy Roman Empire. Really.
For sure.
Was emperor of the Holy Roman Empire from 1658 to 1705.
Yeah, he was a Moor,
Yep, he was a Moor.
definitely.
He had two sons, Joseph and Carl. What a name, Carl. And who succeeded him one after the other. So let's go back this way. And that's supposedly a carving of him. There's also a painting of him that's similar to this, and you see it's just all black hair. Yeah, here's
Look like you.
yeah. No, what I also do is I take a picture of myself in the so you know
Selfies.
I'm really taking the picture.
We know there's a real Moor there.
Yeah. All right. So this was the original. Wow, this is sensitive. The original picture, and you know how we learn how in masonry the person behind is really the teacher.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of these old images with the Moor, behind. So yeah, this is in German. This is King Carl III from Spain. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so that's me in the picture saying like, yes, it's real. Okay, this is a, what's the word, a quilt, and I'm not sure if I actually took the information about this one. No, this is different. This is different. But I think this was also at the end of the trip where it was closing down, so I was just running around and popping quick pictures and not really taking the shields that describe what was going on. But within the shield there are Moors as well as more African style, if you want to see. But you can see the turban and you can see the fez right there.
Wow.
See that? It's kind of dark on the screen, but and these are hunting flags. I found this was interesting. How, once again, you have melanated beings with a turban and feathers coming out. And these were hunting. Hunting clothes. The hunting clothes were used in the German hunt. Trackers and drivers drove the game together and held it at close quarters with the clothes until the hunter could shoot. So there you go. I think that was it. Yeah. So that's the Berlin. Some of the Berlin shots. What was this?
Go back.
Oh, you
Yeah, how do I
finished?
go back? Yeah.
Arrow? The top left.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so this is Cambodia. So last
Wow.
November I was in Cambodia for a week. A friend of mine that I went to school with in Vancouver, she domiciles in Sweden and she does her own jewelry and stuff. And so her husband got transferred to Cambodia for 2 years. He does statistics for companies. So she moved there and she set up the business. So I went to visit her. you have people that you know places, go visit them. That's the best way to see places. I went there for a week. I was on a trip to Taiwan for my company, and I just stayed an extra week. I went to Cambodia. So here are some of the images from that trip. Now what's interesting is how I remember seeing on Facebook people talking about Asians aren't melanated and this and that and so on and so forth because they keep looking at pictures of what's out there. This is okay. I'm gonna have to go kind of back and forth. These are guys that are working, building this area. Now, they're not dark because it's shadowed. They're dark because they're dark. And in Cambodia, you will literally find people darker than me.
Oh, for sure.
Literally.
Same with Laos. Did you make it out to Laos?
No, I didn't get out there. Like Cambodia, it's interesting. The people there, the Khmer people are the perfect, almost you know about that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Got pictures of that too, but not here.
Yeah, that's us, man.
That's
Yeah.
when it comes
Of
to
the
warrior
Khmer
life.
Rouge.
They're
You know
the
about
most
the Khmer
coldest one down
They
there.
don't play around.
Okay.
Don't play.
Yeah, I found that the Cambodian people seem to be the perfect mixture between Hindustani and Asia coming together. It's a perfect mix, and they are dark and they're very, very nice. They're very, very kind people. All right, so this was actually in a Buddhist temple area, which is really extravagant, and they were just fixing up this spot. And all this, well, you can't see, it's blurred here, but this is stonework of ancient Buddhist gods and stuff, and that's all done by hand. So they're very handy. Okay. And here is a picture of monks in the morning. They come down to city and they, people are bowing in front of them and they bless them and they get food and so on and they take it back up. All right. This is an image from one of the temples. I have pictures of the different temples. I went up to Angkor Wat and spent a whole day, and it's a whole area where they have all these different temples. The theme is the same in all of them, in a sense that the detail is there. Some are smaller, some are bigger, and I found out while I was there, like, we never think of Buddhism as being very violent, but the Buddhist faction was warring against the Buddhism comes from the Hindustan, and they were warring against the other. What's the other one called? Can't think right now. Anyways, they were warring, and then Buddhism took over, and so the temple then became Buddhist.
Taoism?
No, it wasn't Taoism. It was
Zen?
Was it Krishna?
It wasn't Krishna.
It wasn't Krishna. It wasn't Krishna. It was.
Krishna's peaceful.
Yeah, it wasn't Krishna. But I always thought Buddhists but they were. It was major war. As the guide was telling us. So, what's interesting about this image is what's that on his head?
That he or she.
Or she. I think that's a he. That's a he. That's a he. You know,
Have to
what's
ask,
that? What's that in his head? Now this is all carved in. This is carved in stone, and all of this is done by hand. So. Yeah. So let me.
More than know their history.
Yeah. So I gotta go back this way. This is also on the grounds. The elephant is very prominent. Also in that area, the elephant has a lot of influence and reverence as well, which is interesting because that ties into Carthage and our lineage. So, what's interesting about this is we have a connection to the world in these areas. Like, we think we're separate from them, but we're not. We really are not.
Exactly.
Because there's people that worship the elephant like the elephant god.
I find it amazing how everybody wants to be the lion, but lions don't mess with elephants.
No, not at all.
They don't, so.
It's a symbolical thing.
Yeah, true.
If you look at from lions and elephant, then you know why they chose lion.
Yeah,
It's a symbolical.
yeah,
Elephants are easy to control with the mind.
yeah, that's true.
Very forgetful.
No, the
Well,
elephant,
no,
they have a great
they're
memory.
memory.
That's why they're easy
Yeah,
to
but if
control.
you tie them to, if you tether them, and
If
let them,
you tie them with a chain,
yeah, they'll
A
And
string,
a chain for a while, and then you
no,
realize they
a
can't.
string,
they won't break.
actually.
Even a
No.
string.
Oh,
I'm saying you start off with the
in
chain.
the beginning, yeah. in the
that's what I mean.
beginning,
And then
yeah,
after that, you
exactly.
can tie them with a string.
That's
yeah,
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I mean, you could do that with any being, and that will happen to
Yeah.
them over time, right?
Yeah, learn helplessness,
Yeah.
self-imposed limitations.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is with Asia in general is no matter what, they keep to their culture.
Mm.
So in every place that you go, every establishment, they'll have this little shrine, if you want to say,
Mm.
where that blesses the area, and it's in everywhere.
Mm.
Every office,
Mm.
hotel, whatever, they always
Yeah.
have this in the beginning.
That's in Cambodia.
Cambodia.
Yeah, this is still in Cambodia.
And that's all our worshipping, pretty
Right.
much. That's
Yeah.
all ours.
Yeah.
We don't do it.
I know.
Because it's
I know.
broken since
The reason,
We don't do it.
no, this was the bus trip going up to Angkor Wat. The reason why I took pictures of this is anybody from the Atlantis Islands. I remember when I was 4 years old and I went to Tobago, houses were looking like this.
Yes, I've
So-
seen that.
I remember when we were driving up north to Angkor Wat, and I'm looking at all these houses, and I'm like, but this place reminds me of Tobago when I was younger.
Same.
And so that to me is, they'll have it in Jamaica too.
Yes.
Maybe not with the marsh or whatever, but still on the stilts and
Or
everything.
they
You
do
know.
have it with the marsh.
And there's a
So-
temple behind it, eh? Or no?
No, that's not a temple behind it. But what's interesting is along the road,
Mm.
you'll be driving along the road, and then you'll just see this archway,
Mm.
really elaborate archway, and then there's a long road, and in the back somewhere there's a temple. So every couple of kilometers there's
Sure.
a temple.
It's big. It's big.
Yeah. That's it on the bus. This is another one.
So
think
it's
this-
fair to,
A shrine.
sorry to
Yeah, shrine.
interrupt, so
Yeah.
it's fair to say that, how you were talking about the mosques in, North Africa and so forth, so it's fair to say like the temples are the equivalent of the mosques
Yeah,
being around,
yeah.
like those,
It's just their place of worship.
I wonder if it's on, because most of the churches were on ley lines, right? High energy, fault lines and stuff like that, so I wonder if those temples have,
Well, I would say honestly, I would say most of the temples were on highlands with high energy areas and stuff like that.
right.
The churches just came in and converted all the temples.
Yeah, but then the mosque, because remember the mosque was on there first, right?
Right.
So most likely our ancestors already had that whole foundation on
Yeah,
it laid
absolutely.
out. So
Absolutely.
it's just interesting on the other side of the world, we're doing the same things, and then every how many kilometers because
Right.
they're just putting temples up and stuff like that.
Is that Hinduistic or is it?
This is all Buddha.
Oh, it's-
Buddhism.
oh,
This is all Buddhism. This is another shrine that they have, and you see the huge Buddhist head behind here. That's a huge Buddhist head. Now there's the Asian Buddha is the smiling Buddha with the big belly and so on. This is this is the Hindustani Buddha. And what's also prevalent there is in this next picture, the Naga
Okay.
There we go.
everywhere.
What's that? Serpent.
That's the serpent. When you look in, when you go to ancient Kemet and stuff, and you see the pharaohs with the serpent coming out of the pineal area, it's the Naga.
Yes. And in Japan.
And in Japan too.
Yeah.
Nagasaki.
There we go.
So they just
There we go.
anything that was in Africa is all over.
Well, that's the thing. Like they're part of us. They're our people as well.
Yeah.
The migration of the Eastern Africans, I'll say Eastern Alkebalanians, they are the ones that traveled and they brought Kung Fu and all that, on the way traveling there, seeing animals. I forgot the Moor's name.
I know. I was just about to mention. I forgot.
Yeah, I
myself.
forgot his name.
Bodhisama.
Bodhisama?
Well,
Yeah.
maybe Sambo, but
Yeah, something like that.
I don't
But as he
remember.
was traveling, he observed the animals and then he developed styles and then he brought all these different kung fu styles to Asia. So yeah,
So the serpent doesn't mean anything bad. No.
the serpent never meant anything.
That's
bad.
good.
never.
They've just been lying to you.
Yeah,
He's the
never.
one that knows all the secret.
The serpent only means something
it
bad
is a
in
creature of
Christian
God.
Yeah, gives you the secret.
Well, that's why they use the serpent for pharmacy.
Yeah,
The caduceus.
yeah.
Yeah,
Carduceus.
yeah, because it heals.
How do you pronounce it?
Carduceus.
I don't know.
Okay, some
Carduceus.
more of the houses tying me into the pond. Like, come on, man. This could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Any land. This could be
Exactly.
anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Backyard.
Anywhere.
Somewhere in the out in Blanchard.
You know, if I told you that was Cambodia, you'd be like, yeah, right.
Exactly.
So
Wow.
here is an image of this huge tree, and there's these children underneath sitting. And so, you know, I took a shot as perspective, and then that's the children. Like, look how dark they are. That's Asia. You ain't gonna see that on TV though, or anywhere, right?
See light skin ones.
Yeah.
Dark skin ones.
Like like in reality,
Like
how many of
Filipino.
us get this light from not being able to go to the Atlantis Isles and stick in the sun for so long? You know what I mean? So here's another picture of Naga, and this was the entrance of Angkor Wat. It's huge, massive. Okay, some more images. These are women.
Yeah.
You can see that now.
And you can see from the picture, you can see the features, and the phenotype.
Nice eyes, nice lips, nice tits,
Yeah.
nice hips.
Beautiful.
Sims too, yeah. That's me in front of it. This is part of the first temple, and it's just massive. It's
Mhm.
just huge.
You go inside.
Yeah, you can go inside, and there's still monks in there. There's still
Wow.
monks in there practicing. Certain areas, if they were cleaning off.
And you know, somehow too, the Mayans in South America built pyramids like Egyptians.
Well,
Ziggurats.
the first pyramid was in I think Peru, right?
Peru.
Well,
No,
in South America, I'll say that.
it's the
Before
city,
Egypt?
the city of the
Yeah.
sun.
Egypt is
I didn't know.
even
I thought they were Egypt was
no, it went from west and went east. So even there's pyramids in Western Africa that are older than the ones in Egypt.
Oh yeah.
Like if you look at the older pyramids, the ones in Egypt they have steps.
Yeah.
The older pyramids are smooth all the way down. That you could tell the oldness of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I should go back
And
to
they're trying to trick us into saying that they don't know how they built it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
It's easy to say aliens.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. When they know that it was, you know, it came from the West. Yeah, I like how they love to trick our minds, man.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff out there.
They just continue.
What's interesting was when I was
Exactly.
when I was here, a lot of people were stopping me because I guess the way I was dressed, I had the orange pantaloons and stuff. Everybody's stopping me to take pictures of me.
Yeah.
So honestly, I wanted to wear my vest, but it was just way too hot. It's like 31 degrees.
We feel you, guy.
Okay, this is a Naga and behind Buddha inside
Wow.
the temple. So the Naga is very, very
Probably.
prevalent.
What does it mean?
The Naga,
It's
it's
God.
wisdom. It's wisdom, but it's more than that. It's wisdom. It's energy, Kundalini energy rising. It goes deeper than.
It's funny because in
Yeah.
the Bible, in Proverbs, it says to seek wisdom like gold or silver, but then the serpent is a bad thing.
Right. And what's interesting is this one is broken off, and there's seven serpent heads.
You know how the Bible also said, be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dog?
Yeah, I heard that too.
So you're saying that is seven
There's
serpent head?
Yeah, the one on the left-hand side is broken off.
The significance of the number 7 as well too,
Number 7.
Symbolical, man.
right?
But don't forget, you know, who wrote the Bible, you know, the original Bible, they took it from Africa,
See,
you know.
a lot of people.
If you look at
Well,
the Bible,
well,
It's not
The
physical,
original
it's
Bible,
metaphoric,
I don't think the original Bible is from Greece. It's
The
the
ri-
Septuagint.
yeah, the Septuagint and the Heliobibliothèque.
No, that's
Yeah.
the New Testament. That's
Oh.
the
The Heliobibliothèque is one of the oldest Bibles where they got that information. The Heliobibliothèque,
Yeah?
that is the oldest.
Where does it come from?
Do you have that?
Sorry?
Do you have it?
No, no.
Can you get it?
You have $100,000?
What is money? It's just a queen head.
Yeah,
It's out
right.
there for
So that's
100,000.
that's the issue is that
Put the queen head on it.
piece of paper, draw the cream.
You ain't joking, I did something like that.
oh, that's why they make it into plastics.
Are we talking about money?
You said the
It's just a queen head.
Heliobibliothèque.
Get rid of that and we have
Okay.
no
Check that out.
So there is a Bible called
Where's
the
it
Maccabee?
originated?
Hmm?
Where's it from?
Maccabees, a group of, it was a man that had his families.
That's where the Bible comes from?
Well, yeah, most of remember there's a lot of books missing out of the Bible. There's a-
The bibliothèque covers everything.
It covers
It
everything.
has to do with the sun.
Has to do with
Yeah.
everything. Yes.
I remember asking my
One
dad
sec.
Well, Hebrew. Well, you
about
see,
the Bible, and he
you
says
see Ross,
him
Ross
and
is
my
like the
aunt
latest
on his
thing
side
of what
both
you see
verified
nowadays, right?
that
It's
my
just
grandmother
words.
had a thick
Words,
Bible
language.
that had the Apocrypha and all these extra
Yeah.
books in there. And at some point, the local priest came and replaced that Bible with one that didn't have all these books.
Yeah?
Yeah, my dad verified that.
Yeah,
He said he said he remembers the Bible. The pages were brittle, and he had to turn them really, really easy and stuff. And they said, yeah, the priest came and they replaced them.
And al-
Where's this?
alter,
This was
Where's
Kingsley
your
Bible?
family from?
Trinidad and Tobago. So he must have been maybe like 10 or
He
11.
was sent by Rome.
The Vatican.
They're in the Vatican. Lots of our stuff is in the Vatican. We need to get in there.
Good luck.
And get down under the cellar.
Yeah.
True, all of our
They're just
history is
trying
in
to
the Vatican.
destroy us, man.
See, now we're talking about
They're
something.
just trying to destroy us.
Yeah,
You know about,
sure.
you know about the Gita?
Everywhere. But don't you see in the Vatican
Sanskrit,
the pine
like
cone?
Gita.
That's why it's green. To shut up our
It comes to knowing
knowledge.
about the words of God and all
Gotta bring
things about,
that
because that's what it
down.
all comes back to, from Egypt to the Sanskrit, and everything's just pieced together. That's how they formed their Bible. Because
Yeah.
everything's stolen from every different culture, because since the paganism, they didn't worship one God, they worship a whole bunch of God.
The Orishas.
And we gotta put it under one form. God is the living, they worship the dead.
Yeah.
You see, that's what we all
Yeah.
misplace.
Right.
Because when you start worshiping anything that's like this, that's not alive, that's dead.
That's dead.
The only thing that can speak is living, and when we
Right.
talk, we're God.
Right,
And
right.
now people, they don't understand that, so he's saying, hey, you're crazy, man, don't say that thing. Because they say that they think like you're blasphemy against God, but remember,
Right.
we're made out of our Father image, right?
Remember, we
Right,
were
that's true.
brainwashed.
It's
We
true.
were
It's
whitewashed,
interesting,
so-
yeah.
Mudwash.
We were
They brainwash
whitewashed.
you, you clean.
We were
So you're
whitewashed.
Yeah, I mean, if God made
mud.
man in His likeness, and we're the first people on the planet,
We gotta become
We are the
different.
original man in the essence of the presence of our Father.
right?
Yeah. That's why they don't want us to congregate together.
No, they never want that.
They never want that.
I remember
It's a divide and conquer.
I went to this book fair. I went to this book fair in Sweden when I was there, and there's one booth. There's an artist that was taking. He went through the Bible and he was taking all these sayings and showing how the sayings are somewhat ridiculous and said like an eye for an eye and so on and so forth. And he drew characters like cartoon characters and so on of the characters in the Bible. And so I passed by the booth and I see all these melanated characters. I'm like, okay, interesting. And I picked up the book and I'm flipping through Adam and Eve, dark skin, curly. I'm like, what?
So,
Sure.
I'm like, okay.
Where did that?
Flipping.
I hope you read that book.
Jesus?
People don't believe it.
Oh, hold on. There's more to the story. Jesus,
Black.
dark skin. I'm like,
Sure.
Based on the descriptions in the Bible.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, looking at this. So,
My dark skin.
so I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know what?
says that.
I might just
I hope you have that
Yeah.
book.
Hope not to go
Refine.
in the New Testament.
It's Revelations 1 verse 14. That's where it is. Revelations 1 verse 14. That's the description of Jesus.
Oh, okay.
So I'm flipping through, and I'm like, I might just buy this. It would be interesting. And then the thing that killed it, God. They had a cloud and a white hand coming out saying this.
Always.
And I saw that, and I said, okay. And she thought I was going to buy it. I said, no, thank you. And I gave it back to her. And I said, thank you very much. And I walked away. And she was surprised. And I said, you know what? Let me go back. Let me circle back and talk to her. And I should have, the actual creator of the book wasn't there. So it was the woman that was trying to sell it, right?
But beside each description, did it have like the Bible scripture?
Yeah, they had the Bible verse.
So where did they
But
get
I
that
was-
God being, where did they get the white hand from? Michelangelo?
I have no idea, but that's what they decided to do.
Makes sense.
And so,
Them say you have to pick
I
man
came
sense
to
up
her.
that sense, so.
Big time.
yeah, I came to her and I was saying, I said, you know, the book is great, but the reason why I didn't buy it is this. There's a couple of reasons. I said, in the Bible, it said God made man in his own image, right? So, the first people on the planet were Africans. That's what I said, we're Africans. So how could you have a white hand, you know, using a white hand to represent God? I said that. I said, I gave her a couple of other examples. I said, at the very least, you shouldn't have any gender to God. Just have a cloud.
Yeah, spiritual being.
Just have a cloud. Why do you need a white hand or showing something, you know, white coming down? That doesn't make any sense. You know, and then she flipped it. She said, well, you know, it's true, and she said, well, also, who says that God is a woman? I said, yeah, you can take that route as well. You could take that route as well. I mean, as earth as it is in heaven, the being that brings forth life on the planet is female. So yeah, you can take that.
She's the God.
Yeah. So you could take that as well. But
she
I
was
said,
first.
Could you go get back that book for me?
you want to.
I want that book if
I
you
wonder if
don't
I have the
mind.
information on my laptop. I have the information on my laptop. But I said, based on that,
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken it either.
and I said, what you're doing is when you paint an image, when you paint an image of a deity that's not in the likeness of the people that you're giving the information to, that's tyranny. That's terrorism, because you're setting up an image that they can never, you know. I said, if you're going to any place and you're promoting this God, and the God does not look like the people that you're promoting it to, that's terrorism, because that's an image that they can never, ever, ever get to. So that's a form of oppression, constant oppression.
Psychological terrorism.
Yeah, that's psychological terrorism. I remember a seer said that. I'm quoting a seer. I remember him saying that, and when he said that, I was like, yeah, that's true. So, and I told her that, and she was like, oh, where are you from? You know, so.
This was in Cambodia. You said?
No, this was in Sweden.
Oh, in Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay,
This
but
is
don't the people there look white?
In Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Okay, well,
blonde.
Caucasian?
yeah, no, but if God's have to say that, then why do you make that comment that, like, that's oppression? How would that be?
No, I'm saying if you're taking stuff from the Bible,
Oh, which the original people
yeah,
were.
which
Okay.
the original people were dark skinned,
Okay,
and if
okay.
God made man in his likeness, how could God be white?
Yeah.
And I said, at the very least, God should have no gender, or no ethnicity. Just have a cloud,
Yeah.
you know. So
Moving on.
moving on, anyway. Here's a picture of Buddha draped over with a sash and beads, and I found that interesting too. That also translates to all our ancient cultures, really.
Sash.
So that is the real
Yeah,
Buddha?
and this reminded me of
Noble
the
jewelry.
sash. Yeah, Noble Jewelry wearing the sash and so on
Yeah.
and so forth, right? So, all right. Here is a monk within the temple grounds, going through doing his daily business while all the tourists are around taking pictures. So. And here's a shot of me on one of the monuments there.
Those things are old, aren't they?
Yeah, they're old. What's interesting is it was completely built by elephants. Like the guide was telling us, within the rocks, when you see the rocks, there's these holes that are drilled in the rocks, and what they use is metal rods when they carve the stones, and they were dragged from kilometers and kilometers away, and they're huge. like we're talking 2-3 tons a piece. And then what they did is they put holes in it, they put metal in it, and they strapped that to the elephants, and the elephants would drag them to where they are and put them together. And so all of the temples were built out of it. Okay, this is, I'm sure you've seen images of this with the heads. This was the second temple.
That's Buddha too?
Yeah, they're all the images are of Buddha, like, or their rendition of Buddha, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
gotta.
he's definitely dark skin like Krishna.
But you gotta
Here
remember,
is
not black
some more
more.
details.
Black is, you know, what they want us to start, you know, they're always trying to color us. There's no color, so they portray you with this color image, and you dissect your mind to always try to identify yourself with a color, you know? But
No,
you're just a human, you know?
You know why they wanted us to
Careful that
color
word,
us?
human.
You know why they wanted
Yeah, but human means color because it's
No.
H-U-E.
Watch this.
Like,
I love.
Malachi York, I was supposed to
I
teach
love
you.
to educate people on this one. There's a man by the name of David Hume. Okay, and he came up with philosophy and to govern men and how men should rule and carry about themselves. So as that, he can join his last name Hume and point it on to men. So that's what we're all considered human. So I said to everybody, I'm not human.
Or a man. Or a
No,
god.
and don't use man either. Man is a slave terminology. What they use is called the Mann Act, spelled M-A-N-N-A-C-E. It's Mann Act. And when you go by there, just like say when God made man, that's a corporate entity. They don't want to tell you, even in the Lord's name in the Bible, it's spelled in all caps again. Everything what they've been putting there, you guys have to watch. These are a lot of things that they've been hiding in things. You got to dig deep. So what you have to say, I am a living being. When you're a being, you're in existence. You're right now at the moment in time.
Yeah, living being. Yeah, brother.
Thank you, my
Yeah, brother. Living being for sure.
Yeah, you're right on. That's
What I put in all my documents.
That's what I put too. I have some of my friends always say, oh, look at this black man. I always say, I said, I'm not black. And they always just come in and say, what are you then? And I said to them, oh, I'm sweet chocolate brown, so you can you got to hit them up differently. You got to change people's mindset, man. Because they be thinking crazy things.
Can I ask a question? You raised a valid point. You said even the word God is in all caps in the Bible.
Yeah.
So the question I would ask is, when did it become all caps?
Okay. We have to, that's the other people now. Now you have to ask yourself, the Bible now,
Yeah.
when it became mass production, it was a Gutenberg press in the year 14, I think 96. Can't quote me yet. I have everything somehow a little bit scattered. When it comes to
65 to 90. around
yeah,
there.
okay. Well, in that year when they did that, after when they made a lot of us slaves to read and write, as we took it upon us, they already had their corporate entity. So when you think you're running out of one place, you're running right back into a corporation, and that's how they caught us. So they didn't get us here, they're gonna get us there, because a lot of us didn't understand, or I don't say that word, overstand, because we're not underneath nothing.
Right.
So I have to say that once you come to overs, then you stand, and as I say, you stand on your own jurisdiction, you're your own entity. We can only speak together when we unite and speak together, as they say, collectively, when we come together. So you're your own individual, I'm my own individual, we come together, and we parlay and work together under one unity. Then you can always break off. If you don't like my business, I was saying at Jamaica, you take for your business, I'm going to sell.
Yeah.
Because not all of us can agree. You might be doing cocaine, I might not agree with it, and I might be doing weed, and you might not agree with that. But we're not here to judge, we're just here to work. And that's what a lot of our people keep on doing. Why? Me know him. Him's a different nigga. Me know him. My mom always used to say this. Yeah, same knife who stick sheep, we'll stick wood. So we're all in this together. That's all I can say. I gotta get back.
Here's our more images
Our
of
brother.
the Buddha.
Look at
Yeah.
Our brother.
Yeah, look at the nose, look at the lips.
Big nose.
Big nose.
So wherever he has his head, meaning he conquered there.
He's been there, yeah. He's laid his
His
thing.
mark.
Yeah.
This, I actually forgot to get information on this, but this is it's called paraphrasing, the elephant wall, and there's over, I think, 50 or 60 elephants on this wall, and this was the journey to this area.
But the reason why a lot of those things were there and they're Asian is because the Moors built them way back in time.
Oh yeah, he passed through the land,
Then
nomads.
everybody tried to destroy the
Well, the thing is,
facts of them building it.
Oh,
And they
yeah?
tried to shoot off the nose to
Well,
show
the thing
what
is,
they
they're
were.
Moors as well.
Yeah. No, they didn't try to destroy it. It was the
Right.
European that tried to wipe it out. One what the European did, they tried to wipe out anything to do with darkness from Carthage.
Alright. So here's the wall I was telling you about. And these are all elephants.
Originally, yeah, you know, when they migrated with all my
Yeah, pale face, yeah.
It was just Africans that lost their color and then they lost their identity as time progressed.
Didn't lose anything.
They just got stolen.
Yeah,
Took it away.
they choose to refuse their true identity.
What are those ones?
These are more images of deities that they worshipped. Deities and gods that they worship. And it's really, when you're there close, it's really impressive the level of detail that they carved in.
We could
solid.
see it from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this temple here is, remember Tomb Raider?
Yes.
This is where Tomb Raider was filmed.
Wicked.
Looks like they tried to destroy that one, eh?
Nah, it's just,
Oh, no?
this is just from being old and stuff
Oh,
like that. And a lot of times you get, there's one temple where trees and stuff are growing through the rock, and
Oh,
if you
yeah.
actually try to remove the trees, the whole thing comes down.
Exactly. That's why they leave the trees there. They can't touch it.
Yeah,
It's like
they
a
want to
glue.
preserve this. There's no way that they want to destroy this. Alright, so this is back to the beginning. Alright, so...
Okay. Next.
This. Next is China. This one is kind of short,
That's.
but I want to show you.
Let's try and get through as many as you can.
Yeah.
I don't want to run out of memory.
Oh, it's not plugged in?
No. It's the memory card, right?
Oh, okay.
Yes. I just want to.
Now I always used to think that whenever you saw dark-skinned Chinese working outside, it's that they were dirty from all the dirt. Now you can't see. I don't think you can see clearly on the screen this this guy right here. But you see how dark he is from the picture. That's how dark he is.
Can't see it, but if you zoom it.
Okay.
I'm trying to zoom myself.
Dark China.
There you go.
Blood.
Chinese is what they call Mongolia.
Wow.
Han Dynasty, from the Han Dynasty.
Mongolia. Yeah.
Chinese.
Mongolia.
Dark as me.
Dark Chinese is Mongolia.
China.
Yeah, dark
See,
Chinese.
the thing about it is
No.
the thing about it is the thing
They're
about it is
Manchurians. They're what they call
Yeah, the Manchurians, not Chinese.
The
that's
thing
what
about
they
it
are.
is what
They're
happens is,
Manchurians. They're not Mongolian.
We'll build on that.
because they are melanated, they stay out in the sun and they get this dark. They're working in the sun. The women all over Asia, in the skin cream that the women use is a bleaching agent. And they believe that whiter skin is more beautiful. And I remember,
That's Hinduism.
They're totally
no, that's all in Asia.
Hindu caste
Yeah, they're destroying the very. You
Ah,
know, here.
I think that's
I've read that somehow.
Hindus, but
Hinduism, the caste
yes.
We're all
Oh,
and racism. Like I've read.
Okay.
What there's a book.
Okay.
Message from the Afro-Nazi coming to question is, and then that's what shapes racism and stuff like that.
Okay, so
whole
then-
caste system, the light being better than the dark.
but then, okay.
I don't know
then-
about the China. I don't know about.
But I think what that is, that has to tie in then also to the European images that's always been pushed forward, because the caste system had nothing to do with skin color. It had to do with status.
Okay, but wasn't it that the lighter skin would work better than the dark skin?
I think
That's
that,
what I was reading.
okay, that probably, in my opinion, I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure, but in my opinion, I would think that would come later on with the emergence of Europe,
Okay.
and be that image constantly being pushed,
Okay.
and so them thinking that lighter skin was
Okay, they probably merged
Yeah.
it and got it.
I actually talked to 3 employees at the factory that I worked with in Taiwan, and I asked them, like, well, why do they do that? And they said, I think it's more beautiful. But then one of them, the youngest one, was 21. She's like, I don't believe in that. I think it's ridiculous. You're killing yourself, so on and so forth. She said her mother told her, never use that cream because it's bad for you, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was really interesting. But this is the stuff that this image of this worker here is what you'll never see.
Yeah,
And everybody always thinks Chinese or Asia is like light skin.
Yeah.
No, they are that dark.
Then that
That's
means,
how we
that
can
means
brainwash
you know what that means? He looks like a Filipino.
Yeah.
to Jamaica.
Yeah.
And there's
Tomorrow, yeah.
They don't want to be from.
They were bleaching them.
All right.
So that's how
Here are some.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Sambo.
Yeah. Here are some images. I went to a. I went to a fair and I was looking at some of the figurines that they had.
Wow.
And I find it interesting that all their figurines look this dark.
They could have painted it, but they didn't.
No.
But that's the thing. Look at the colors that they're wearing, right? And you see the white hair on the elder guy here. You see the lighter colors in the clothing. So if they were lighter, they would have painted them lighter.
Wow.
Those are the ones that identify themselves.
Did you pick up any of this or?
No. I just went through. Here's another one.
Wow.
So those are the black, I mean,
The Manchurian.
This is in China.
Yeah, Manchurian.
These are figurines.
Real like.
But the thing is, we really.
Chocolate.
The thing is, we
Chocolate.
really
They got
have
an
to.
area in China called Chocolate City.
Right. I think we really have to get out of our mind that Asian Chinese people are normally super light. I think we need to really. That's the image that's. Now I'm not saying that I didn't see any very light skinned
You're not yellow?
Asian.
The colors here.
That's probably why they come to Canada too so much, because there's less sunlight and they can stay light.
Well, wait till I get to Vietnam. I'm gonna show you some pictures.
I've started Vietnam.
Vietnamese.
But you
Oh,
know
yeah,
what?
Vietnam.
Here's some-
A lot of dark
I have
ones.
friends down
A
there.
lot of dark
You're
ones.
going too slow, I gotta get out of here.
All right. Yeah.
So
here's some other
you could
images.
teach this for what they call February. That would be
Ooh.
good.
Nah.
There's another.
Next
one.
year's gonna be a good year. You
That was
watch.
another one, and he had some
That
threads
one,
and
but
so
we need to bring out our history so that people can see it.
You're gonna get that from all
This is
the
what we get
No,
there.
I think we need to bring this out because lots of our people don't know.
Here is Vietnam.
China isn't black a good thing and white is bad?
My brother,
In terms of
White is identified with.
That I'm not sure about.
Bring them.
I can't really comment on that.
Go to the Vancouver.
Go
to the Vancouver one.
Huh?
Vancouver one.
You want to see the Vancouver one?
Well, yeah. Just
Show all these ones first.
show what you got to show. I mean,
We'll go through them. We'll just
we got about 40 minutes.
Okay, so we
Okay,
won't talk
so,
as much.
yeah.
Let's go through the pictures.
Yeah, let's.
Go through this.
We'll talk after.
Fast. Okay, this is when I went to Vietnam. I went to two
Okay.
museums. I went to the Ho Chi Minh City.
One. Go ahead.
I went to the Ho Chi Minh City Museum, and I went to the War Museum. The War Museum was heavy. With all the images they're showing. There's a picture of a U.S. soldier holding a part of a body. There's a head attached to it and skin, and like I think part of an arm, and then there's nothing less, and he's carrying. Like they show everything in this museum. But here is wow, this is really sensitive. This is a altar of the god of wealth, god of the earth, and this is the image of that god
Fez.
with the fez. This is at the Ho Chi Minh City Hotel Museum.
That's a shorter face.
These are actually these were called the Gia Din, located in the south. People have loyalty, courage, moral integrity, honor, duty, and despise riches. I found that was interesting because a lot of these, there's a lot of tradition that is kept in all over China, and if you come to them in that respect, the same respect that you have when you go see your auntie or whatever, you take your shoes off, and that level of respect, you come with them, and they love you because they know that you respect their traditions. A lot of people from the U.S. or from Europe, they don't respect they don't have that feeling. So
Decorum.
right, so a lot of people in Asia don't really like them. But
That's
if you
right.
come with that respect
Yeah.
aspect, they love you.
For sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, and these were some images of women's, it said they preferred Buddhism, but believed in sorcery as well. And respect the goddess such as Chua Nok Lady. So it's interesting how they took on the philosophy of Buddhism but still kept their ancient traditions of sorcery. And I think that's something to learn from. Some more images. I found that this is how they dress for wedding ceremonies. And I found that this was interesting because this also, when you look at Moorish culture, whatever, they have the long gowns that they wear. So I thought this was interesting. This image is not very clear, but these are some Vietnamese. It's a Vietnamese women with their 3 children. Now you can see how dark just from this black and white that they are. You know?
Believe it or not, when I was growing up, when I used to look at Asians, I always used to know the Vietnamese were always the darkest.
And this is a commander-in-chief who was sent to South for inspection. And this is just an image of him. I took an image of him because I thought it was interesting as he's an official and he has a fez on. A lot of these people have fezzes on. Okay, now getting to Vietnam. The reason why I took these pictures is, speaking of Asians using the bleach cream, here's a woman sitting in the back of the scooter, and you'll see full families on scooters. Okay?
You gotta get there.
What's interesting with the women, it's 31 degrees outside and they cover themselves from head to toe so that the sun does not touch their skin. So this woman here has socks on. It looks like she's barefoot. She has socks on. You see right here? That's gloves on her hand. Long sleeve.
Geared to the sun.
Right. Her face is completely covered. She has thick sunglasses on, and then the helmet.
Yeah.
And all the women that I saw on the street were like this. Some of the elderly women, they wouldn't have the gloves on or the socks, but they'd have full on them. They do not want to get light. And I thought that was really interesting. The men,
Why the sun burn them and they don't want to get that?
no, they just
Because you know we are all
these are the same reason why they use the
Canaanland,
bleach
so
cream.
it's
They
you don't
think
wanna
that
get
light
chocolate?
skin looks more beautiful.
Yeah, they don't want to get dark.
They don't want to get dark.
Yeah.
Here's another one here. You can see her here,
All of
fully
them.
clad out.
They're
Yeah.
brainwashed by the Europeans.
Look at them all. They're all covered up.
Hot out there, man.
Yeah. Here's another one. I just found it fascinating. And
Huge capital.
one of the guys, I talked to one of the guys, and he told me like that's the
What part you gotta do?
Did you ever talk to them directly about that? Like,
No. Okay, this I took this image because this was from the War Museum, and Monsanto was involved in
Go figure.
in the Vietnam War.
The
and they were the
purple
ones that
people
created
eater?
Agent Orange.
Yeah.
And if you know what Agent Orange is, right? And I found this was interesting. This is a picture of. This is the chemical warfare that they were using to spray over land and make deserts out of it. And I found it interesting. It says the purple people eater.
Wow.
Yep. 1911.
So they were
consider
that
them
dark,
purple.
right? They called them purple.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
who created Monsanto?
Monsanto is a U.S. corporation.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it out of
Heard a lot about
out of the Second War with Germany?
Oh, you mean?
Like in terms of the in terms of the originator, like all the companies came out of there. Like you had
So,
the pharmaceutical companies, you had the aerodynamic companies, you had the chemical companies, you had food and drug companies.
Right.
So
poison that poisons the soil.
Yeah. So this here it says low-flying C-123 transports lay down swarts of Agent Orange. Now I'm going to show you a picture of what it does.
Is that like the chemtrail?
No.
oh no.
No. This is that's what happens.
This thing here.
They stabilize the economy. That's the
Now,
Worry about imports coming.
think about those are all
Growing
trees.
up on your land.
Those are all trees, and that's acres and acres and acres, and nothing can grow there for generations and generations.
That's right.
For at least
And
50
within
years.
and within the museum, they show the effects of it has on people growing tumors and so on. For generations, children growing without no legs and no arms and stuff joined together and so on. And this is going 2, 3, 4 generations.
Wow.
So when
That
they
was
have
to win
kids,
the war,
their
right?
kids will have
Yeah.
like deformation.
Yeah, exactly.
So you would think that
Every war.
after the people from that country experience that from the so-called United States, they wouldn't want to do that. I would think that they wouldn't want to have nothing to do with them. But
Right.
they come to this country and they hate us,
Yeah.
but they love them.
And they cover up themselves. So
We
they
never
don't
done
look
anything
like
to
us.
them.
I think that we
Well,
look more like
with the
us.
Vietnamese?
Yeah,
No,
because
well-
the lady that's riding around, it's modern time right now, so he's right.
No, what I'm saying is that they come to America or Canada or America and they idolize the Albion.
Well,
The
I
brainwash.
don't really know about that. I can't really speak to that. The reason why I can't speak to that is because when I was there and I was in the city and I was walking around, I remember this. Everybody's asking where you from, where you from, and this one woman stopped me and she asked me where I'm from. I said Morocco, and she said, "Oh, okay, welcome, welcome." And then she pointed to my skin. She's like, "Very good, very good, very good." And I'm like, "Okay." So
So it's a small
Just no,
percentage
huh?
in Morocco.
no, this is in Vietnam, in the city. So
Maybe Vietnam is different than here. Because when they come
maybe
here,
Vietnam
they
is different
change,
than here.
right?
But I think
It's a
I
percentage
think
that
it's
comes.
also it's a perception that they get also from the
Watching
media.
television.
I think if you go into their stores and you come respectfully,
Yep.
I think that they change
But I
because
understand-
that's one of the
yeah, I
big things.
understand
I don't
that.
know.
I understand, but
I'm
what
just
I'm saying is the Albion doesn't have to do that.
Mm.
He just walks in and they give him the respect just like that.
But it's not necessarily respect out of love, it's respect out of fear.
I never said that, I just said respect.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Okay, I see what you mean.
This is some information on Agent Orange. Don't need to read that. And here's another picture
Wow.
of, and here's a child. So.
But those chemical that was built in America was those scientists, they came from Germany.
Yeah, they came from Germany.
Yeah.
So
Operation
the
Big.
German really still did them that. But
Well,
in America.
Yeah, but the thing is, you could say that U.S. funded Germany. So
Yep.
Yeah, but the same thing,
Oh, what
Europeans,
Yeah, but what I mean, they
nothing.
were from Germany, but
Oh,
in
it's on
the
slideshow.
US still, you know
How
what
do I
I
stop
mean?
the slideshow?
But you don't think it's Americans, but the Americans did.
They're not American.
No,
They're
that's what I'm saying.
Europeans.
That's what I'm saying. It's
How do
the
I-
Europeans that build it still.
because we're all
Yeah,
being,
yeah,
but we
there
all
you
have different cultures. So the European culture is what.
So I think that was the
Well,
last
came
one.
to
I guess.
America, yeah, when Hitler,
Yeah.
Hitler went up north and then,
Europe didn't have no culture.
he's on the,
The Albion, Europe.
Quick one in
the
Taiwan.
Albion, the Albion, what I call them,
Europe has
Europe
culture.
and Albion,
The Albions don't have no
Yeah.
culture.
They
They
have
don't have
been,
nobody, right?
yeah,
They're
they're
religious.
underground now.
Here's a quick one in Taiwan. Here's
underground.
went out to dinner with the factory workers and I saw this outside of the restaurant across the street and I found this was interesting. I couldn't find the information on it, but a black horse and a black warrior on top of the horse, and this was huge.
So they could have painted them differently,
Fully or more.
but they chose not to.
Yeah,
Who's that, Jack?
Wow.
There's
Who
a
is he?
More.
Oh, Amor.
Yeah, more.
No, I want to know the names too. 'cause-
yeah, but I asked and they didn't know.
How
So
come they don't know the names of the Moors, but they know the name of Mussolini and all these Europeans? I don't understand.
Well,
Because the European had to paint themselves as God. They had nothing.
here's
Yeah.
a picture of I took a picture of this guy
So come we
at the
lost
bus
the
stop.
name.
He looks a little bit lighter than he really was, but still he could pass for any Scotian, if you want to say. So, all right. Now this is in northern Taiwan, in an area, and they display the indigenous people there. So they have statues and mosaics that run through the city, where you get an idea of their indigenous culture.
They still put him a little fairs, yeah.
Here are some of the images that are on the bottom. Some of the mosaics. Now, feathers and the caps. This, to me, just says that we are all connected. Really, the only culture that doesn't really have this is European culture. At least this indigenous, this with connection to the earth and stuff. So
Why do you try to?
there's more of them. This is along a major road. I wouldn't say it's a highway, but it's still a very busy road. So
Oh, and you can see all them artifacts?
yeah. This is interesting. So there's a turban on his head.
Why is it Europe that only doesn't have these kind
As far as far as I know, the unless you talk about I think it's the Grimaldi and so on as they go up into Northern Europe, there's certain areas that they do dress with beads in certain parts of Scandinavia, North Scandinavia, but
They just destroyed Jordan.
None of them has
Remember
no
he said we
turban,
went to
though.
Germany,
Or is
showed
that
the
their
pictures of
culture?
Germany.
None of them have no
They
turban,
couldn't
though.
destroy everything, so it's all there, you know.
Is it
Turkey
Western
and-
culture, or did they just?
I think that's the
Take it.
culture.
No, is that theirs originally, or did they just copy it?
Stole it like everything
That
else.
yeah, that
Stolen legacy.
yeah, it's probably still a legacy. That
Everything.
I can't 100% say.
Nothing.
Until I learn about it, then I can't say that it's 100% stolen. In a sense of
What do you mean, in Europe?
yeah, in Northern Europe.
You talking about the beads and all that?
The slaves.
Yeah, and the way
Yeah,
it's dressed because
that was Boris from us. Definitely.
Yeah,
They didn't destroy us. We destroyed ourselves.
okay, this is in a store in Turkey. There's more pictures that I had, but I didn't have them with me. So this was interesting. I found this interesting.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, they talked to us.
Here we go.
And these are all leather. It's just made out of leather. I thought this was very, very interesting.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is Vietnam.
No, this is Turkey.
No, this is Turkey.
It's in Turkey also.
Somebody else says the enemy is within the eyes, so we destroy
We
ourselves.
destroyed ourselves. They didn't destroy us. They were slaves.
Okay, and here's the Vancouver pictures.
We're home.
Her home.
This part of Omexum. Let's go.
That's why we're not fed right now.
All right.
Oh, yes.
So
I know what
here
that is.
is.
You know what that is?
Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay.
Let me go back.
But the only reason that we're allowed to is because we.
This is a picture of me. This is actually on my Facebook. Now,
That's what I should have done. I looked and I was like,
what I find very, very interesting with this is
best person
if we
can.
were here, why is this native
Yeah, look at that.
wearing a fez?
Oh, maybe
That's-
maybe I can kick a little thing to it. They're called Blackfoot. You guys look this up. It's real. The tribe
Blackfoot in
that went
so-called
all along.
Indians.
They went all along the coastal line from BC all the way down to Montana.
Yeah,
So this is
Blackfoot Moors.
BC now, eh?
Yeah.
Blackfoot Moors.
Blackfoot Moors.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. As my brother was talking about a few weeks ago, there are 6 nations. We gotta know which nation are we, because we're First Nations, and that's what these people.
Yeah, here's
Have
the
trees
flag.
Claiming.
Yeah,
Okay.
treaties with only First Nations, and Morocco is considered a First Nation.
So we gotta go clean
What's
up
what's
our rights.
here's the plaque that's underneath it. It said, "With open arms to all who pass our shores, this welcoming figure was raised at the first kaya gathering of ocean canoes. It's Squamish. They call it the Squamish Nation. Dedicated this figure to the citizen of West Vancouver on July 25th, 2001.
And it looks
This
like some
prayer.
KKK passed through and dropped some bullets in it, eh? But they're like, yo, shot it off the
And
China.
it says, "Welcome, Canadian
Couldn't
woman."
destroy it.
Interesting. Welcome, guardian woman. In gratitude to all our
Tree bullets there.
tabas or grandmothers for all the teachings of our land's history, of who we are, for all the teachings and the ways we take care of one another as elders, parents, brothers, sisters, and cousins, our children, the future generations, for all the teachings in the ways we share the wealth of the land, the seas, and the air. So they're honoring, which is interesting, they're honoring the mothers, the grandmothers. Squamish Nation thank this district of West Vancouver, so on and so forth. So I find that is obviously still there, and that greets all oncomers. So tell me that Moors aren't indigenous to this land. You can't.
Everywhere they travel.
Everywhere that they
It's
travel.
just it's hidden. We gotta go find these treasures and dig them up.
No, they're there now. We just have to broadcast it, and I'm ready.
This is my Facebook picture. So
Brother, how's the food in the different parts of the area?
oh gosh, food in Vietnam is amazing.
Yeah.
It's wicked.
They eat everything down in Vietnam.
Vietnam, the food is great.
They eat
Korean,
everything.
the factory owners are Korean, and I've been to Korea as well. But when I went to Germany on exchange, we had a 2-week excursion to Korea, and my favorite Asian food is Korean food because it's similar.
It's spicy.
It's spicy and it's hearty. There's weight to it.
Yeah, there is weight to it.
You know,
Like,
not like
I don't eat animal, right? So
yeah, you can get.
if I would go there, like, would I find,
You'll
would I be able to
starve
find
in
easy?
Vietnam.
You just have to tell. You just have to tell them like no vegetables,
Vietnamese
no
eat everything.
meat in this. Yeah, they do.
You gotta make sure you tell them, bro. Because I am with my
'Cause-
Vietnamese friend. They eat everything from snack, anything. Because they tell me if I go down there, they'll starve.
Yeah?
Yeah, you have to tell them. Okay, watch yourself. If you go in and think of getting spring rolls, you'll think of vegetable, right?
Yeah.
Not in Vietnam.
Yeah.
He knows they have meat in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I was like, what?
But even the
They put meat in
even
it.
the
So
oil,
that's
Yeah.
that's
They put meat
everything.
in the spring roll. Spring
That's
roll.
everything.
They eat everything. They're like Chinese. They eat everything.
So that's
Like
everything.
meat's like in almost every one of the dish.
Well, brother, you know why we originally left Africa? It wasn't because of
We didn't leave Africa.
We didn't leave. You know why we populated the rest of the planet? It's because of weather.
No.
Where you get that from?
No, man.
No, let him
Listen, we're
let him
nomads. We like to
explain.
travel.
Yeah, expand on
No,
that, brother.
expand on that. Expand on
We
that.
are nomads. We like to
Expand on
travel.
Okay, well, what it was way back in time, you know, about close to about 100,000 years ago or so, roughly, or 50,000 years ago, there was a miniature ice age or something. So what it is on the continent of Africa, it affected down there where there was a drastic drought because it's unbalanced. You know, like when there's an ice age, whatever, it really makes down there hotter. So the animals started migrating, like, you know, that we relied on a lot. There's documentaries on it, you know, there's
Yeah,
somewhere
follow the animal.
Okay,
I
don't want to
started
see
following
that.
them and then migrated
what
up
do I-
into
Anything,
Europe.
just
And
anything.
then when that's among the, you know, Africans got trapped up there, they didn't leave, they stayed there
Yeah,
and
just,
migrated out of there,
cover
you
it,
know,
yeah.
came in and what it is.
Just cover, yeah, move it.
You
Yeah.
see where Europe, where Russia and Canada joins, at that time we crossed over.
So that's it?
So we also
Yeah, that's
crossed
it.
down
Close it
there,
down.
came into Canada, went down to South America. And then
You have to eject
all-
No, don't worry about it.
and
Hit the
also
lights.
still Africans remain in Africa, you know, that never left, you know. So that's why we populated the whole planet in that way because of the weather.
No.
And then
Okay.
and when Europe got colder and colder, those human beings take 25,000 years for, you know, us to completely, you know, dilute into like a lighter color because the Almighty created
No,
us
no,
to adapt
I
to
don't
the
believe that.
environment.
All right.
We got lighter
No,
because
no.
lack of
No, the
sunlight.
pale faces were made, brother. They were made. And we were here 50,000, 100,000 years ago. We were here. I mean, and there was an ice age was over here too, brother.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
So what are you talking about Europe for?
The reason,
No, I'm saying
the
the ice
reason,
age.
the reason why, the reason why I don't believe that is if you look at I hope this is the proper term, Inuit people. They've been out there for ages and they are not pale.
And we were up there.
Yeah, they're
We
not
were up
pale.
here before them.
Remember, it hasn't even.
We were there before them.
Even before the biblical days, 2,000 years. You know, it takes 25,000 years for a human to totally like turn pale because of lack of sunlight.
That's
So
a
when,
nice- that's
so
a
when
nice
we went into
story.
the caves and started living in, you know, sunlight, lack of sunlight. That's
Okay. Who went into the caves?
well, the original Africans that left Africa because of the drought.
When did we go into the caves? When did we go into the caves?
40,000 years ago.
Okay. Now,
We're hunting and gatherers.
Who else would have went there? We were the only
said it, who
beings
else?
on the planet. You know what I'm saying? There's only one being, a female and a man.
Hold on a
Are
second.
you talking 50,000 years, or are we talking a million
They were
years?
made.
He's saying
Are we talking
between 50 and
How
100
many more? How many years?
Between 50 and 100,000 years ago.
So,
Keep the darker ones over here.
how long have we been on this planet?
Well, just over, supposedly over 1 million and change, no?
Okay, so you just said 50,000 years ago, people in Africa went into caves.
Yeah, when
So
migrated out
okay,
to the European.
But we've been on this planet, as you just said as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
we've been on this planet for millions of years.
Segregated, I mean, we were mainly
So,
on the continent of Africa.
it,
It was so
if
large.
anything, that was just a tribe that went into those
Yeah,
caves.
yeah, it was just a certain
All right.
tribe.
So
yeah.
that doesn't discount the fact that we were on the whole planet.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's the issue that we're having, is that
Undermining us in every which
we
way.
keep thinking that we came from that spot.
Yeah.
We've been everywhere.
In everywhere.
We were everywhere at once.
Even prior to that
Prior to that. So maybe what you're talking about is just one specific tribe
tribe, yeah, that's when
That's
they
what
that they documented, but we were everywhere,
12 tribes.
as you can see in the pictures, like
Yeah,
literally.
11 tribes.
So you were saying?
No, I was gonna pull up. I have this image because when you said 50,000 years ago, I have this
Times year.
paper clip, newspaper clipping that says who were the ancient Americans 50,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Pull it up. Pull it up. Pull it up.
I think I have it here.
So
What does it say?
I thought I had it on my phone.
You know
Should
what?
have-
If they
should
gave
have
us
paper.
what we're claiming to, they would turn everything up. So they're gonna fight us all the way, all
I'm
the
ready
way,
for the
all
fight.
the way, all the way.
gotta
Because
We're fighting ourselves.
Exactly.
Straight up.
Use this. Use this. They can't win.
you got half of
Yeah,
people
win.
sitting over here saying they're this, you got another half saying over this, another one saying over this.
But I think
Man, everybody's confused and they're not gonna get this thing right.
Big time,
Like,
exactly.
that's all, but
Never will get it.
they're not gonna get it right, man.
Yeah, but you don't need everybody. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
But-
you don't.
You don't
But
need everybody.
you know what? This is all I shouldn't say that word, but however,
Yeah.
when everybody comes together, it works a hell of a lot better.
All we need is
They
a,
will.
When you have your
Never
own
be
brother
able to
fighting
reach
you, when you have
everybody
your own
though.
brother fighting
You
you,
could never reach everybody.
My brother,
Well, remember,
we're
yeah, you
coming
can read
together.
that.
The fact that one
Who lived in America
pyramids
50,000 years ago?
come
bring it, let me bring it closer first, and then I'll.
There is so many brothers and one sister
But
coming
remember
in.
though,
It's
not
complete.
everybody is your brother.
One second.
Technically, yes.
everybody is your brother.
No,
Because
Who lived in
everybody-
America? All right.
But remember something.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah,
remember.
okay.
I'm a Moor, some call me Saracen, some Muslim. Europe had some dark age issues, I solved them. Using more science, I'm stating the obvious. Rapper drone stepped up from Kush to Molly Blunts. Unawakened, unconscious. Unaware Moors won't accept the fact, plus you looked up Blackamoor. Moors the custodian of Kemetic Nubians, carrying the marvelous light, the path Negroes to Nubians, saying I'm a Moor, not colored or black. I'm a Moor, Seti or Enki, they can't change that, cause I know their hands don't extend past Allah's wisdom. I'm a Moor, no doubt a contradiction. Return to my own vine and fig tree. Nationality, a mind frame if you're with me. Reclaim your ancestral mind and shout.
I'm a Moor. Red fez, black tass, elders of my class, not black or Indian. I repeat, I'm a Moor. Indigenous to the farthest west. Say we were great, still they say we the best. Hear what I say, I'm a Moor. Yes, it's true, if not for Drew Ali, most of y'all would've still been asleep. Now you could tell them I'm more than you could ever wish you thought you would be. 3 centuries deep in more science I read. Study, I'm a Moor.
Rope on a peg, stuck in the shore. Oceanographic device anchored to sea floors. Goldfish of China and Japan. Veil tail variety, brushing the cold water plants. Stretches of lands, jungles or where sand blows. Reptilian species and amphibians homes. Defending Drew Ali, that's my mission. To put securely in place or desired position. Ancestral mindset, not thinking like the hybrids. Can't hide from a 10, so they mess with the climate, mess with the minds, mess with the foods, get violent about more subjugation. Your black leaders are quiet, signed on to King Alfred, but they want you to riot, pushing dogma as religion and want you to buy it. Most never do it, but they want you to try it. Too many have knowledge of self on the shelves and won't apply it.
I'm a Moor, red fez, black tas, elders of my class, not black or Indians. I repeat, I'm a Moor, indigenous to the farthest west. Say we were great, and still they say we the best. Hear what I say, I'm a Moor. Yes, it's true, if not for Drew Ali, most of y'all would've still been asleep. Now you could tell I'm more than you could ever wish you thought you would be. 3 centuries deep in moral science I read, study, I'm a Moor.